Hi everyone, it's Gina, and it is day 25 of Create with Gina. And I decided to pre-record this particular episode because there are a couple of things that I wanted to show you, and it would have been easier if we just pre-record. I'm going to show you how to do a little bit of Chinese calligraphy, which is going to be the activity. And I wanted it to be like a meditation while you're actually creating it. So I'm going to do a little bit of talking in this section, and then a part of this video is going to be a recording of me doing the Chinese calligraphy of the particular words. That way you can have a chance to practice it yourself and create it for yourself. Okay, so what am I going to be talking about today? You heard me mention Chinese calligraphy. Well, last night as I was meditating, I was trying to think about what I wanted to talk about today. And like I said, I had a few other things pre-planned, but lately I've just been kind of going with what's been inspiring me and kind of putting aside the pre-planned stuff. So as I was laying there, I kept getting the words, go back to the source, go back to the source. And I was like, well, what are you talking about? What do you mean, go back to the source? By that, for me, that means God being the source. But I just kept on hearing, go back to the source, go back to the source. And then as I was going through my email later on, I got an email which talked about particular Chinese characters that had the words opportunity and danger, both together mean crisis. So the words for crisis in Chinese also contain opportunity. And it hit me when it said go back to the source, which was basically go back to the source of this whole crisis that we're currently experiencing, being the coronavirus, right? So, okay, so here I am at the source, and I've been given this particular, or these two Chinese characters. One of them means danger, and the other one means opportunity, and together it's actually the Chinese word for crisis. So, like I said, within crisis, there's always opportunity. And I started to make some notes. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to get through them. But there's one of the things that came up for me was a quote, and I'm not sure if you've read the book called Art of War. It's by Sun Tzu. I hope I pronounced that name correctly. But in the book, The Art of War, there's a quote which also came out of those particular words. In the midst of chaos, there's always opportunity. And I know I've spoken on this before, and I was kind of wondering, well, why am I being led to speak on this again? Because I've spoken about it before, but it was just like, well, you need to remind them, let them know that there's an opportunity for everyone that's going to come out of this, coronavirus event that's happening. So I said, okay, well, let me share with you what the Chinese characters look like and what they mean. I am not going to attempt to pronounce them whatsoever because I'm not Chinese. My son is actually studying Chinese, but I can't ask him to come on because he is so shy. He will not come on and actually do it for me. But the two words, the first word here, and that means danger. That's the character right there. And the second word, there's a Chinese character, and that's the word for opportunity. And together, those two words make up the word crisis. So this is a Chinese word. Usually they would be side by side, but when I'm doing calligraphy, I like to do top to bottom. So these two words together actually make up the word crisis. So you can see in every crisis, there is opportunity. Okay, and these are the two Chinese words that make up that word. Now, the word crisis actually comes from a Greek word that means to separate or to sift, to keep only what is worthwhile. Okay, and that, when I read that, it reminded me of a time when I went with my sister, my two nephews and my son to this it's a gem place. What's it called? But anyway, the idea was we were going to hunt for gems, for gemstones, but we weren't at the natural, place, the mine itself. The way that they did it was they had huge buckets filled with sand, and hidden among all of the sand were particular gemstones, and they had different size buckets. You could get a small bucket for maybe, let's say, just $10. You could get a bigger bucket for, say, $25. You could get a gigantic bucket for about $30-$40, right? So you pick the size of the bucket, but in order to get to the gemstones, you had to take it to this section where there's running water, there's a bunch of sieves, and you use a scoop, and you basically scoop out a bunch, you put it onto the sieve, and you shake it under the running water. All the sand goes away, and then you're left with the beautiful gemstones that were hidden in the sand, right? So this all of the sand gets run out. That's the stuff that's not worthwhile, and you're left with the gemstones, which is what's worthwhile, right? So that was the image that popped into my head when I read the the origin of the word crisis, from the Greek meaning to separate or to sift, and to keep only what is worthwhile. And I think we're in a perfect time in history where we're being made to reevaluate what's important to us. We're being made to reevaluate what we consider to be important, right? We're being forced to reevaluate who we truly are, as far as what gifts we have and how we're to utilize those gifts. Because right now I know there are a lot of people who have lost jobs, or they've been laid off for a period of time because those particular positions aren't really considered valuable at the moment. I know for my home country, tourism industry has basically shut down. The airport is closed. There are no cruise ships coming in. All of the